But let's welcome in Jai Bala, Brijesh Singh as well as Nilesh Jain on the show as well. Good morning, gentlemen. Jai, let me come to you first. Overall, the cues are indicating that yes, it is expected to be a quiet start to the week. The short-term structure also remains pretty much bearish in terms of markets. But if you see the corrective move that we've seen on Nifty, the index has slipped below its 50 DMA as well. How big a possibility is it that we could see a attempt to pull back that could be on the cards? However, the gains could be limited.
Yeah, good morning, Hiral. Good morning, everyone. I had pointed out on Thursday that 11,275 was an important level. On Thursday, it went below that level on a brief intraday basis, but then it bounced back very sharply. But the problem here is this market is not able to reject any price action that's pushing it below these levels, and it's not able to sustain that. So I'm a bit worried that this market could get dragged much deeper. But in case the markets don't hold 11,250, I think there's a distinct potential for the market to even drop to 11,100. The important thing here is if the markets were to continue to give us the impression that this is just a corrective decline, it needs to quickly take out 11,565. This is also what I said on Thursday. So watch out for this. And there's another important macro factor that you want to watch. If the rupee prints 70.41, that's a very, very important signal that a very big weakness is due for the Indian rupee. So watch out for that too. And the important thing that you need to do is avoid too much of extreme short-term trading. And there is bound to be a bounce. The markets have gone down for about eight consecutive sessions. And today's intraday session is, if there's a dip, there's likely to be buying. But the question is only the sustenance, and that's a big factor. So the sensible thing would be when there is a bounce, you might want to build some out of the money short put positions deep out of the money. Basically this is a strategy. You want to buy a strangle where when the market's showing weakness, you want to buy deep out of the money calls. And when the markets are showing a short-term relief rally, you want to build up put position. That way, you are prepared for the event that's there on the 23rd of May. And by doing this, you get the calls cheaper and also get the puts cheaper. But this is an important strategy. This is an important protection that you need to have. And I've been saying from the beginning of May that we got to have a defensive posturing. The calls that I'm going to give later on when you speak, you also have to use that. Calls in the cash position, or you buy calls or puts. That way you're controlling your risk. Risk control is utmost of importance now.
Very important to hedge your portfolio, and out of money index puts can be a good way to hedge that for the moment at least. Nilesh, what's your sense of the markets? Because it's unusual to see 9 straight days of a one-way directional move, whether it's upside or downside. So we're already down for 8 sessions on the index. Could we see a fall for the 9th straight day? And like Jay said, and this was noticed in Thursday as well as Friday session, even a 50-point pullback move was being sold into at the index level. So there's very little conviction on any of these bounce backs. Where does the next support then come in?
Hi, good morning Dipanshu, good morning Hiral. Well, we have seen a structural breakdown in the last week from the levels of 11,550. One way fall we can say that till the levels of 11,250. Now interestingly, Nifty has formed a sort of tweezer bottom pattern at 11,250 levels. So that indicates there could be possibility of a small pullback rally, but again it has to sustain above 11,250. If you look at the overall global market, there could be possibility of a slight negative side on in today's trading session. If at all it breaks below 11,250, then the next support is coming around 11,200. That is a important support level, because if you look at the derivative data, we have seen put addition in 11,200 strike followed by 11,000 strike. So the broader range is coming around 11,000 to 11,500 from derivative data. Technically, the 200-day moving average, which is placed around 11,000, which is likely going forward. But since, like you have mentioned, after falling for 8 straight session, we could see some sort of a pullback rally, not a trend reversal, but it is a pullback rally that should be utilized as a selling opportunity, because the overall structure is slightly looking weak on the downside, maybe towards the levels of 11,200. If you look at the Bank Nifty structure, it has slightly positive structure compared to Nifty. It is on the verge of a forming of a morning star. So it has a major support support around 28,700. If it breaks below that, then the next support is coming around 28,500 or 28,300 as well. So overall, the bank Nifty structure is slightly positive compared to Nifty. Well, Nifty is overall sell on rise kind of structure.
Right. Sell on rise kind of structure is something that we need to watch out for. Brajesh, let me come to you. With this entire market setup, what would your trading calls be?
Good morning, everyone. See, before the peak, what I'm been looking or witnessing in the Nifty is that there is a probability that Nifty might try to touch a level of 11,100 or 11,050 on a downside before bouncing back. Whereas on the higher side is being concerned, 11,400, 11,550 are the resistance zone. So till Nifty doesn't give closing above 11,550, any rise would be used for selling purpose rather than buying on dip of strategy is being concerned. Now coming to your the calls which I am been looking for, there are two calls. One is from a PSU bank. Oriental Bank of Commerce is looking good. Today there has been a result also. So any dip below 94 can be used for accumulation purpose with a strict stop loss of 91. Play for the target of 99 and 102. Time frame to hold the counter would be 3 to 4 trading session. The stock had made a base at around 90 to 91 with the positive divergence of the oscillators on the shorter term time frame of the chart, which is giving a bullish view. So look to buy in a dip with a stop loss of 91. Play for the target of 99. Another call is MGL gas. What I have been witnessing is that the stock is been getting corrected from a level of 1032 with making the lower highs formation on the shorter term time frame of the chart, which is giving the bearishness, and the increase in volume, which is giving which is supporting the bearishness for the stocks. So 890 around 1K take a sell side with the strict stop loss of 912. For the target of 850 to 855. Time frame to hold this counter would be 1 to 2 trading session.
Right, so those are top trading bets coming in from Brajesh as well. Clearly, OBC, a buy and a sell coming in with regards to MGL as well. But overall, if you go to see in terms of where OMCs are concerned, there could be some bit of trading pressure that could continue with the kind of volatility that we are seeing in terms of crude prices. So there is some bit of underperformance that could come in. But apart from that, gas companies will be in focus because there is a possibility that there could be some bit of outperformance. That's what fundamental analysts are looking at. In fact, Jay, let me come to you with regards to OMCs as well. What would your call be, especially if you take a BPCL, HPCL and IOC into consideration? And with that, in terms of gas companies as well, if you have to talk about a IGL, MGL and a Gujarat Gas, do you think there is some bit of outperformance that is seen on the charts?
That seems like the case, Hiral, but you need to have stops. If the markets are going to drop, like it's showing weakness, the crude is going to drop a lot, and by lot, it's going to go back below the December low. So so the only beneficiary is going to be OMCs. But here too, it's not written in stone. So and within the OMCs, I would think BPCL is the strongest, and one needs to keep a stop below 340. And as far as the gas companies goes, they are also in a strong position, but unfortunately they are in their last leg of their up move. So the risk reward potential isn't that attractive. I've been bullish on Indraprastha Gas from the time it was about 240. I've had a price objective of 350 to 400 for it. It's done 330, and still that doesn't seem like a complete price structure for me. So I would still think there is a further price highs coming for Indraprastha Gas, and one who's followed our advice, they need to hold on with the stop below 304, and I would think maybe even a little more conservative, maybe slightly below 300. I think, but this is the last leg. This is not a time to initiate fresh portfolio position, but definitely there is trading potential here. So definitely, but no portfolio potential. So be clear about what you are trying to do with these names here.
Right, so they can be good positional bets, but again, be clear because the market move and market direction has been very volatile. Jay, which stocks would you bet on today? What are the names on your radar?
As I said in my opening comments, I am anticipating some weakness kick in for the rupee. So that way I'm going for defensive posturing. So I'm having two longs, and besides the weakness for the rupee, there is technical structure that's underpinning my two calls today. First is a long on Glenmark, and I'm going long with a stop below 595. With the price objective of 660. The logic behind this is that, if you look at the move of the February low for Glenmark to April move, and then the subsequent pullback, the pullback has stopped exactly at 61.8 Fibonacci retracement. So that's where the 595 stop comes from. And for the last two sessions, it's been bouncing up and responding to this price level. So there's a short-term trading potential here. And similar to the setup with NIT Tech, again a beneficiary of rupee weakness. Again, if you look at the move from the February lows to the March April high, and then a pullback from there, it stopped at the 50% Fibonacci retracement, and it's responding from that level. So a stop below that low is a potential here, and there's a possibility this is going to be a trading bounce to about 1300. So be very conscious. Use cash positions or use options for going long. That way, the risk is completely contained to the maximum level of your exposure. If you are normally trading futures, I would advise, if you're multiple contract traders, go with just one lot, or otherwise go with cash trading. And there is watch out for SBI and Ujjivan Finance for intraday bets. As probably during my closing comments, I'll put in some additional word on these two.
Right. So overall, if you have NIT Tech as well as Glenmark, that will be in focus. In fact, with the pharma pack as well, you have US states which have filed a lawsuit against 20 pharma companies on the US on charges of inflating drug prices. In fact, total of 44 states have filed the complaint in the US on Friday. In terms of the companies that have been named in the complaint, do include Glenmark, Wockhardt, Aurobindo Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, Zydus, Lupin, as well as Taro. So Taro in turn, could see an impact on Sarma. So watch out for these companies pretty closely in trade. There could be some bit of a sentimental downtick that could come in, and if yes, and if Jay has a recommendation of Glenmark, probably it could come in as a good entry level for that counter as well. So watch out for the pharma pack pretty closely in trade. But Nilesh, let me come to you as well. You have 2 sell calls and 1 buy call. What would your recommendations be to the viewers?
Yes, right. I want to start with sell call first. We have seen a structural breakdown, that is a channel pattern breakdown on a weekly scale from Escort. So Escort is a perfect sell at current level with a stop loss of 610 for the downside target of 580, only a trading call. Well, my second recommendation on the sell side is in Siemens. We have seen continuation of a lower high and lower low formation in the last week and the entire month. We can say that one can sell Siemens with a stop loss of 1101 for the target of 1050. My third recommendation is a contra bet. It's a buy call on Titan. We have seen, despite weakness in the market, Titan has continuously outperformed. So Titan is a buy with a stop loss of 1110 for the upside target of 1150.
Right. So there are a few buy calls in trade today from our experts, and so possibly a short covering couldn't be ruled out. A couple of defensives in case you do want to hedge your bets, but the bias hasn't been all that positive for a while now, and we'll have to wait and see how that action shapes up. Jay, I want to ask you on an SBI though. Of course, we've been seeing good moves happen on the counter from 259 to 349, 339. It was a good one-way move on an SBI. It reacted positively to its numbers on Friday as well. What's the sense you're getting on this chart?
Yeah, there is a potential for this stock to even bounce up somewhere close to 340. But in this market environment, I don't know if it will be able to realize that potential. But the low of Friday is a very strong support. So 292 was 0.4 was the low, but the exact support comes at about 290. So given that it's closed at about 308. It presents an interesting intraday trading bet. You might get an even a lower stop. But there is a potential. But given the weakness in the market, I'm a bit hesitant. But people who are a little more brave hearts can if you are already long here, you might hold on for somewhere between 330 to 340.
Right, so that's with regards to where SBI goes. That's going to be a stock we will be focusing on as well, on the back of the commentary that we've heard from Rajneesh Kumar as well. We're just 3.5 minutes away from pre-open. We'll quickly slip into a short break and then track the pre-open trade as well as the rupee open. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching the opening trade. A couple of seconds before again you start taking a look at the pre-open cues. Global cues are slightly negative. Couple of result reactions you're going to watch out for, and also again we shall see again how the sort of financial stocks they start performing. We were seeing some liquidation pressures, some again selling on Friday, and again it's going to be very important again to again how the financials they start packing up here. A couple of sort of a news flow also around IT stocks, around again a reaction on the ITC stock, gas stocks, all of that again. But first, let's take a look at the pre-open cues and what we are getting for the start. 40-point uptake coming for Nifty, Sensex 200-point uptake. That should moderate down, but still, it's looking as a positive start. Again, let's see again if this is how we are going to get, or the rates are going to change towards the red here. But for now, let's call for a couple of stock reactions. Let's bring Tata Steel. Let's see again how the stock is shaping up. Also Hindalco, Vedanta. Let's see again how the stocks are going to do. 2% downtick coming for Tata Steel. Again a sort of couple of downgrades have also come, though again most of the target prices are above the current market price, but still 2% down. Let's bring Vedanta and Hindalco. The metal prices were trading soft. So let's see again there is a continued pressure on the metal stocks. So let's see all the metal stocks. Hindalco flattish. Bring Vedanta also. Let's see again how the stock is going to do in the trade. Hindustan Zinc also. That's Vedanta almost sideways, but 0.5% up, still positive. Bring Hindustan Zinc also. That's again so steel stocks again are under pressure. From there now let's go to Jet Airways also, and also then State Bank of India, the reception to the results. So let's bring Jet Airways, 3% uptick. Perhaps hopes that again in the bids there could be some positive outcome. This is the largest sentiment. SBI, that's a sort of reception to the results, 1% uptick coming there. Larsen Toubro, let's bring L&T also and see again how the sort of reaction to results is going to come by. Flattish, but order inflow guidance again was not a disappointment at all. So that's a DMart again. Couple of brokerage downgrades again have come on the stock, but again the sort of growth in the profits again was good enough. Rupee has opened with a slight depreciation, and that is again now it's almost on the verge of a resistance there. Let's see again how 70.2 shapes up in the trade today, but that's again dollar rupee pair for you. And from there let's also take a look at a couple of more sort of news flow again. Bring Titan. Again, there is a long call also from our guest, and the brand again basically has been talking about increasing turnover of couple of sub brands again. So that's again Titan for you, 0.5% downtick. The stock has moved up after the results, as almost 3% rally has already happened. So you can take that into acknowledgement here. Torrent Pharma, there has been a recall of a drug. So let's bring the stock on the screen. Piramal Enterprise, whereas again the company, the news reports are talking about company could be in talks for buying out renewable asset portfolio. Vodafone Group, again let's bring Vodafone Idea stock, where news reports are talking about they may release pledged Vodafone Idea stake again. So that's the stock for you. In fact, around 14 rupees is where it's now slowly moving towards the right issue price again. So again results are still awaited. Let's bring Welspun Corp, where there has been a sanction from NCLT on amalgamation of 2 subsidiaries. From there, SL Tech, board has approved merger of 4 subsidiaries into SL Tech. Also let's bring again the stocks which are going to get impacted from MSCI India announcement, where MSCI India again the statement has been ICICI Lombard, SBI Life, HDFC Life, RBL Bank. Again those review results are going to be announced today, and these stocks are actually speculated in the form of inclusion into MSCI index. So let's bring once again RBL Bank, Info Edge, that again we know as Naukri. Also bring SBI Life, HDFC Life, a couple of insurance names again that, and insurance perhaps could be the hiding place here. Those all stocks again are going to be the action. But here it looks like from the markets now we are into red, almost 5.6 points. So again a sideways flattish cautious start will be there, but look at Dow futures, this still perhaps is looking way better.
That's right, because Dow futures were indicating a cut of almost around little over 200 points, and that is the reason why we did see that weakness that did come in terms of Asian markets. Now it will be interesting to see Piyush how the European markets open, because even if there is a marginal pullback, because it's been 8 to 9 consecutive sessions of weakness, there needs to be some respite that needs to come in, and probably once the European markets open, there could be a possibility of a 40 to 50 points uptick that could come in, but that could be short-lived and the upsides could be limited. So it's going to be interesting to watch out how trade pans out between 12 to almost 1 o'clock. But clearly the rates are not actually giving you an exact picture right now. We're still a little above the 11,250 mark. The indication that SGX Nifty was giving us was slightly below 11,250. So we will have to wait for rates to settle in. But Eicher Motors, let's pull up that one on the screens as well, because the numbers have been weak. The commentary has been weak as well. The first half of FY20 is something that could let the weakness persist. A 2% downtick is what pre-open is indicating with regards to Eicher Motors. But apart from that, if you you see in terms of the other broader market as well, you have Syndicate Bank again on the back of numbers is seeing a smart reaction. Glenmark is down to over 2%, and the reason why Glenmark is down is on the back of the US lawsuit. Let's pull up a Walcard, Aurobindo Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, Lupin, as well as Sun Pharma that will be in focus. There could be some bit of selling pressure that could continue on these pharma names as well, because these are the ones who have been named in the complaint as well, and you are seeing the pressure that has come in terms of pharma names. Apart from that, let's pull up MOSL on the screens as well on the back of an earnings reaction. Let's see what MOSL is indicating as we speak. Syndicate Bank as well, a good set of numbers. A profit of 128 crores versus a loss that has been reported. MOSL as well, a 2.5% uptick in pre-open on the back of numbers, 3% on Syndicate Bank. GSK Consumer Healthcare as well, if you see, the profits are up almost around 34 to 35%, and margins have also seen a good improvement on the back of which as GSK Consumer Health will be in focus. Relaxo Footwear, again, a pretty flattish set of numbers. In fact, some bit of weakness that could come in with regards to Relaxo, and the reason there is weaknesses on the way crude has panned out, that is one of the raw materials in terms of byproducts. You have B2 Retail as well which reported numbers. Again, overall if you go to see a pretty flattish move in terms of B2 Retail. Merck, the profits are up around 79 to 80%. Margins have almost doubled for a Merck. There has been an exceptional gain in the base quarter, 3% up move coming in on Merck on the back of numbers. Chalet Hotels as well, the numbers are not comparable, but Chalet Hotels also reported numbers. Neel Kamal, another one, again a weak set of numbers that have been reported by Neel Kamal. Let's pull up that one on the screens and see a 1% downtick coming on that one. Vinati Organics has seen a good run up in the last couple of months. In fact, the quarter has been strong as well, a 3% up move coming in with regards to Vinati Organics and pre-open trade. You have GNA Axle, La Opala, a few of the other ones which have reported numbers. So clearly, Piyush, if you go to see, there is, a lot of stock-specific action is what we are witnessing. In fact, you have Eveready Industries, McLeod, Williamson, which are going to move out of short-term ASM framework. So there is a possibility of a swing that could come in on these counters as well. So watch out for these numbers pretty closely. But again, if you clearly see its stock specific action is what we are seeing. Tata Steel, in fact, let's pull up a Tata Steel as well as the Reliance Industries as well. Piyush, one question I want to take with you in terms of Reliance Industries is with regards to where closure of one of the refineries is concerned for a span of 4 weeks. What's the kind of impact it could have?
I think it will have slight impact in the context of slight utilization, maybe lower utilization, but usually again the storage, the sort of inventories, those are enough again to take care of the volumes there. But low utilization could have slight mild negative impact on the revenue here, but we have already seen again correction in the Reliance sort of stock price. We have seen again the margins again have not been that strong enough again in the June quarter, again from the point of view of the heavy crude related subdued impact there has been recovery in the gasoline margins, but heavy crude price again those have moved up, and that is a negative impact for the refining margins, and all that again has played out on the stock price so far.
Almost 1 lakh crore is the kind of market cap loss that we've seen on a Reliance Industries in the last 5 trading sessions, and clearly it was the most valued stock in terms of in the Indian markets, and then you had TCS which followed, and now you have TCS which has clearly overtaken Reliance Industries as well with the kind of underperformance that we've seen in the last 5 trading sessions.
Yes, that's the case. Again, there has been a switch in the pole positions between the stocks. But one question I think we should know now is twin questions. Number one, Nifty PSU Bank Index, that's going to look very interesting for the next 2-3 days. SBI result reception again. So let's first try and find out how again the PSU Bank results perhaps could be looking like, SBI results, how again you should look at PSU banks. Vineet Bolinkar, the head of research of Ventura Securities, is now joining us. Vineet, what's the perception of SBI results, and if that's something we should take cue for the remaining PSU banks, how you are going to look at them, and are they providing at present any sort of margin of safety?
So I think that the SBI results were very good. If you look at the NPAs have come down significantly, and the top 3 NCLT accounts they have completely provided for. So we expect that the revenue growth could remain muted, around 12 to 13%, which they have guided for. But what I personally expect is that, they've clocked about 168 rupees of EP adjusted book value for this year. And, we'll have a lot of recoveries coming in next year from, provision for all these accounts. So if that comes through, I think over a 2-year period, we could see a book value of about 240 to 250 rupees. And if you take 2 times book, because the ROA will be expanding, ROA will also be improving over the next 2 years because of the recoveries. then we could see the stock go to about 450 to 500 rupee range, depending on where the price to book settles. But I believe that from here, I think that upside is much more than the downside. And considering the fact that this is a big boy, I would go along with this stock as a strong buy candidate.
Strong buy candidate, but on the charts, the question which is very interesting for the start of the week is how is Nifty PSU Bank Index looking like? Jay, coming to you, what are the charts telling you? Nifty PSU Bank Index, where is the index right now? Are there any major supports which are coming by?
See, Nifty PSU Bank Index mirrors a lot of the SBI's movements, because SBI has the very heavy weightage to it, followed by PNB. So I would think that it has potential to scale at least 3350 on the Nifty PSU Index. So yeah, that's exactly what SBI is also pointing out. But yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant to get bullish and limit my bullishness in SBI to intraday because of the overall market structure and on the market's refusal to respond to key support level. Once it probably responds today, and if it can sustain it, then I'll probably get more aggressive here. But it's better to be a little more cautious than be in the market and feel that you should have been out of the market.
Jay, just one follow up, and let me again confirm if again I read this right. You're saying 3350 Nifty PSU Bank could scale up. Index is trading somewhere around 3020. So I am deducing that you're saying 10 to 12% upside is possible, perhaps in the next few months. What's the time frame you're looking for the index? And if SBI, PNB, or BOB, which form a large chunk of the index weightage, are these the stocks again which are looking good for the medium term?
I see. The thing is, you should not be thinking of medium term. Remember, if I mentioned during the ILFS crisis, the markets are heading for record highs, and the price objective was 12,400. I think even if the markets were to head to those levels, this is the last leg of the up move before a very large correction or a major reversal takes hold. So even for people who are interested in investing, you better wear a trader's hat and have an objective about somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks, and not something like 6 months to 12 months. I think once you're when we are in that kind of time frame, I'm anticipating a major reversal. As I said the other day in last week, it doesn't matter who comes to power in India. The next Prime Minister of India is going to be presiding over a major bear market.
Right, so that's with regards to where the PSU banking counters go. Let's pull up our IDFC First Bank as well. A weak set of numbers that have been reported by the company. NI is down, in fact, a loss of almost around 218 crores, 6.5% downtick is what pre-open is indicating. With that, let's pull up a Jet Airways as well, which is now indicating a pre-open cut of almost around 9 to 10% in trade. Allahabad Bank 3.5% in trade. In fact, with regards to Jet Airways as well, overall, first let me just quickly take a view with regards to Jet Airways with Vineet as well. Vineet, your call with regards to all the talks that are going on with regards to the lenders and Jet Airways, and speculation of an Etihad that could be coming in.
So I don't see any kind of resolution happening on the Jet account very early, because everyone is trying to get the cheapest deal possible. And the state bank officials are not in a position to rule on the fact that they could be pulled up for some kind of graft. So I think it's a no-go, and one should just stay away from the counter.
Right, so that's with regards to where the aviation counter goes, Jet Airways. In fact, we happen to speak to Rajneesh Kumar as well. Let's hear out his commentary with regards to Jet Airways. He's clearly indicating that it will be declared today as Etihad's bid will decide the resolution plan. The bids will be opened. Let's listen to those exclusive comments given to BTVI.
Not full, but more than regulatory requirement. The bid on the plan is yet to be opened. It will be opened today, and then we will know that what is the resolution plan and what is the funding requirement. All those issues they will be discussed, and the planning will be done based on what they have put in that sealed envelope. Everything will be done with the consent of Etihad, who are the sole bidder based on the EOI.
Right, so that's with regards to Rajneesh Kumar, chairman at SBI's commentary with regards to Jet Airways as well. Eicher Motors, 1.5% downtick coming in pre-open, and this is on the way the numbers have panned out. Tata Steel is also down almost 1.5%. We are just around 30 seconds away from pre-open. But let's pull up a Jet Airways once again and see what the counter is doing in trade, because clearly, if you see in terms of where Jet is concerned, clearly when Etihad was looking at a Jet Airways initially, there were a couple of conditions that Etihad had put forward with regards to Jet. Clearly, one of the conditions was a 80% haircut that the lenders should have taken. Now, if you go to see what SBI has done, almost 80% has been declared as an NPA. So that is one of the indications that we are picking up, that there could be a possibility of a Jet which could be on the positive front. But a 10% downtick coming in on a Jet Airways on the back of all the news that we have been pulling up so far. Apart from that, let's quickly pull up Nifty 50 as well. We are below the 11,250 mark, 11,231, a 50 points cut coming in with regards to Nifty 50, a little over 100 points cut coming in with regards to Bank Nifty as well. You just have an SBI which is up almost 0.6 to 0.7%, but all the other components of Bank Nifty are trading in the red, out of which IDFC First, a 5.5% downtick coming in on the IDFC First on the way numbers have panned out. You have Kotak Mahindra Bank which is down 1%, IndusInd, PNB, HDFC Bank, Bank of Baroda. Across the board, you are seeing some bit of selling pressure that is intensifying, at least with regards to Bank Nifty. With regards to Nifty 50 as well, you have SBI which is up almost 1%, Yes Bank, TCS, ONGC, Wipro. These are the ones which are maintaining that marginal positive momentum, but major pressure coming in from the likes of a Tata Steel which is down almost 2.5-3% in trade. You have Eicher Motors which is down 2.5%, Hindalco, BPCL, IOC, as well as a Kotak Mahindra Bank and a Z Entertainment which are trading under pressure. Let's pull up the mid cap and the small cap index as well. The cuts are pretty deeper as what we are seeing with regards to the large cap names as well. But clearly, the biggest losses coming in for the likes of an IDFC First, Jet Airways, your V-Mart Retail, Delta Corp, Cadilla, Allahabad Bank, Venky's. These are the ones which are seeing major downtick reaction. Motilal Oswal, 4.5% downtick uptick coming in on the way earnings have panned out. Vodafone Idea, as well as Piyush was pointing out, that stock is up 2.5-3%. You have PNB Housing which is in the positive. First Source, Merck reacting to earnings as we speak. SBI 1.5%, Bank of Maharashtra as well seeing positive momentum, as well as Avenue Supermarts which is up 1.5%. But clearly the stock of the day right now, the breaking stock, is a Jet Airways which is seeing major downtick. In fact, Priyanka Iyer has some exclusive details that we are picking up with regards to where Jet Airways go, which is down 5.5% in opening trade. Priyanka, what's the latest that you're picking up with regards to Jet Airways? We spoke to Rajneesh as well, where he clearly indicated that today the bids will be opened and there could be some bit of a resolution plan that could be discussed.
But that is also what we are picking up from our sources, that the bid has not yet been opened. So a lot of focus will be on what is Etihad saying in its bid, what extent it can invest. But apart from that, the other developments that are happening today is that the Labour Ministry had called for a meeting with the Jet Airways CEO and the employee representatives. And this meeting is going to be happening in Mumbai, and the discussion basically will be to amicably settle the issues relating to wages and salaries that have not been paid since the past few months. There will be representatives from the pilots union, from the union which represents the engineers, the ground staff, the cabin crew as well. And all of them together are going to discuss as to what can be done in terms of the unpaid salaries. Although it looks like a very bleak chance that any step can be taken at this point, because when it comes to funds, Jet Airways clearly is lacking funds at this point. No loans coming in from the lenders. Nothing of that sort is possible. So what the discussions will yield is what we have to see. And very importantly, what comes out of the bid that Etihad has put in? What are the discussions about the Indian partner that Etihad mentioned in their statement on Friday? All of these questions remain on Jet Airways and the future.
Thanks, Priyanka, for getting us all the details. So 5.5% downtick is what we are seeing right now. And clearly, the meet has been called by the Labour Ministry, as Priyanka has been indicating, to amicably settle the issues of unpaid wages. There have been wages which have not been paid for almost around 4 months, 5 months at different levels. So that's something where you could see some bit of a resolution that will be coming in from the bids that will be opened in today's session. So the PSU banks actually will be in focus as well, Piyush, as you're mentioning, because the moment there is a resolution that comes out of Jet Etihad, a lot of NPAs and what have been sitting for these PSU banks, there could be a resolution on that front as well, and probably that could also provide some bit of support to these counters.
Yes, resolution is the key word, I think.
Absolutely.
And because of that, I think that there could be some relief. But resolution is something, especially in the aviation, again, you really actually have to wait out again to see if how the sort of a positive reaction of PSU banks could come out once the resolution is achieved. But for now, what's happening in the markets? Markets are not going anywhere. Markets actually are almost flat on Nifty basis, on a small cap basis, very much flat. Bank Nifty again, 28,800, that was defended very successfully last week. Still again we are hovering around that, but still almost 200 points above that. We're talking about some good positivity coming in the IT stocks. TCS leading the pack here. There's positivity in the consumption names. HUL is almost 1% up. Titan is up 0.5%. Bajaj Auto, Hero Moto 0.5% up each here. Motilal Oswal, that stock is up 5 to 6%. So those are indicating again perhaps there's a bit of sideways trade which is happening. We are actually going to wait till the European markets again for really some momentum here. On the side of big movers, let me highlight 3 or 4 stocks before we go across to take some chart views here. Number 1, V-Mart Retail is down almost 5 to 6%. You're also seeing selling in couple of names like Allahabad Bank 3 to 4% down. But there is some buying which is coming to Vinti Organics, 3% uptick coming there. And also we are seeing some buying in couple of NBFCs like Edelweiss, Motilal Oswal. Again, all those again actually are showing some interesting uptrends. First source, that's also again pick of the week coming from HDFC Securities. That stock is up almost 2%. So those are a couple of initial signs, but let's now go across to take some chart views. Brijesh, any stock which you observed, any update you want to share? And one stock from my side which I want to ask you, and that stock is how is that TCS looking to you at present?
See, SBI right now is looking good on the chart. Somewhere on 1330 the stock has been quoting. So if someone wants to go for a long side on an intraday basis, one can look out to buy at the present rate or any dip somewhere on 311 with the strict stop loss of 309 and play for the target of 322. Regarding with the TCS is being concerned, the chart no doubt on a hourly basis still has been trading in lower highs formation, but the stock has given a bounce back from a level of 21.28 and right now it has been quoting at 21.55. So till the trend is been down and with forming excuse me, it's forming the lower highs formation. Rather than buying, I would be going on a sell strategy. So if its stock trades somewhere around 2170 to 2177 band, one can take a sell side with a strict stop loss of 22.5 or say 22.10 and play for the target of 2100 or even below that.
Right, so that's with regards to where TCS goes, 1% up move coming on that one. Let's pull up a Tata Steel on the screens as well. Friday's session, we did see major selling pressure on the back of the Tyson Group Tata Steel deal collapsing. Again, if you go to see Piyush, you have Tata Steel which is back to square one, and there is a possibility now that they will have to start selling assets as well to, you know, actually pay off the kind of debt that they're sitting on. 2.5% downtick is what we're seeing on this counter. Vineet, let me take a question with you. What is your view in terms of Tata Steel, and with this, with the US-China trade war concerns as well, what would your recommendation be with regards to the other metal counters?
So, you know what, we have not been positive on Tata Steel for quite some time because, you know, we believe that the international operations are just not going anywhere. Second is the fact that in India, they are facing some volume constraints. So if you really want to play steel in India, I think our preferred pick is to play with SAIL, which has got huge capacity has come up and they're looking to monetize that capacity. And, you know, higher production will mean that their fixed costs get covered very well. And that is going to lead to a lot of EBITDA expansion and profit scalability. They also have got very low debt compared to the other big boys, JSW and Tata Steel. So we continue to remain positive on SAIL and avoid Tata Steel at present.
Right, that's the word at present. But for the investors, concern remains from the commentary, and the commentary of steel players has been very clear. They are not seeing at present a recovery in the automotive steel sales, and that is also part of high margin steel contribution from the Indian business, and that's why again that is still again casting its own impact here. But for now, that's the view on Tata Steel again from the European business side. But the entire sort of screen is telling you the metal pack, the steel pack, those actually are showing declines today. Again, they are in red. But what is adding open interest at present? One is State Bank of India, which we talked about earlier from Jay, almost 5% addition in the open interest which is happening right now. BEML, 3% addition in the open interest on the long side. So BEML, SBI, two stocks. The third stock again, we actually are seeing some positivity happening again in the form of 3% addition in the open interest right now. Happening for Bata also. Let's bring Bata also on the screen. Let's see again what Bata is doing right now. That's Bata for you. Again, not firm trend all over the place, but still open interest is increasing. But Jay, coming back to you, State Bank of India, any new update on the charts? Open interest is spiking up, and second is BEML. How's that looking to you?
Yeah, both are looking good, but since the longer term, or I would say higher time frame trend for SBI is a little bit stronger than that of BEML, I would still think that you can go long on SBI with a stop below 308 for a 1 to 2 day positional trade for a price objective of 330. And BEML is also there's a good bounce there. It's come to 200-day moving average and it's bouncing from those levels. There is a trading buy there too. And at current levels about 854, I think it has potential to bounce somewhere close to 880 from a 1 to 2 day time frame. And even there's one more stock which is on the cash space, which is Dilip Bilcon. Dilip Bilcon is also looking pretty interesting at current levels. So you might want to have a close eye for an intraday trade on Dilip Bilcon with a stop below 484 and maybe a 1 day or 2 day carry. It'll probably go somewhere close to 525 to 530.
Right, so that's with regards to where a couple of counters that we have been talking about. Let's put up Eicher Motors, 3.5% downtick coming in on an Eicher Motors as we speak. And this is again reacting on the way numbers have panned out. In fact, let's just take a chart view on this one first. Brijesh, let me come to you. Eicher Motors, what's your view?
See, Eicher Motor on a longer term time frame of the chart, the stock had given a bounce back from a level of 19,300 around, and right now the stock is quoting somewhere 19,700. So I'm looking this thing as a support since the gap down opening has been, as a stock had a resistance at 20,400 to 20,600 band. So this at 20,600 band has to get crossed for a bull side in a shorter term time frame. Till this level is not been crossed, there would be a selling pressure. So at the first support would be 19,300 followed by 18,700. So at the present rate, if someone wants to go on a sell side, at the present rate I would be avoiding, but any rise should be used for selling purpose. Suppose somewhere 19,800 or 19,900 comes, and one can take a sell side with a stop loss of say 20,200 and play for a target of 19,300 and followed by 18,700. So chances are that stock might first retest 19,300.
That's the word on Eicher Motors. Nilesh, coming to you. Any new update or any stock you want to share with us?
Well, if you look at the overall market, the India VIX has continuously increasing since the morning, almost up 4%. So that is not a good sign. We may see some sort of a selling pressure in the market, maybe in the second half as well. So TVS Motor is one counter that has broken down. It has provided a fresh breakout in today's trading session. Looks slightly weak. One can keep a stop loss of 480 and downside I'm expecting a target of 465 and 450. The other counter that is looking positive is BEML. Like you have mentioned, we have seen build up of open interest, building up of a long position. So BEML looks slightly positive. One can keep a stop loss below 830. We can expect upside target of 865.
That's the word at present, BEML. But since markets are showing a bit of concerns, a bit of sideways trend, spike in VIX, high beta sectors are reality again. How can they hold more again this week? So let's bring Nifty reality, and then we'll go to Godrej Property and see again what's happening here. VIX has already told you again. There's a bit of risk here. 0.4% down. There's a bit of recovery happening. Godrej Properties again is showing a bit of downtick here. So how's reality looking? Vineet, the one word on high beta sectors. Another couple of days to go before election outcome. What's your own sense right now on the high beta? Whether it could be reality, could be again the metal names. How investors should really position themselves at present?
I think NBFCs are clearly a no-no because the issue is not liquidity and it is the asset pricing. There's a lot of inventory which needs to be sold. There are no buyers in the markets, and until confidence does not come back to the sector, I believe that there could be the propensity for a crash, and that is a point in time when one should look at investing in the market.
Right, so that's with regards to Nifty Real Estate. In fact, let's pull up Nifty Pharma as well. That sector is down almost 1%. Cadila seeing larger cuts of almost 3%. Glenmark down 2%. Lupin trading under pressure. All the components with regards to where Nifty Pharma go are trading under pressure. And this is probably a sentimental reaction to the back on the back of the US lawsuit that has been, filed with regards to where prices go. Vineet, a quick word with regards to the pharma pack. What would your recommendation be?
You know what? I personally like the stock of Suven Life Sciences. We've discussed this earlier. We are very bullish on that, and we are very bullish on the India story also, because the US market, there is a lot of noise around overpricing, and this could really affect the margins of these companies. So there are certain companies in India which are doing very well. You have Alchem. We recently came out with a buy report on that, which has got good growth levers in the Indian market through the chronic portfolio that they are ramping up, which they are actually underplayed so far. Secondly, they have got very good relationships with the doctor circuit. They also have got a very large force, so the ramp up will be very good. And they got huge filings of new drugs in the US. So they would still be below the shadow of all the regulators out there. But I believe that they would do very well going out into the future.
That's with regards to pharma. Jay, let me come and take a follow-up on a Glenmark as well. If you see in terms of Glenmark, it has been one of your buy recommendations. The stock is at levels of 605, seeing cuts of 2%. Would you want to revisit the target or the recommendation?
No, see, the thing is, as I said in my opening comments, you should be looking at pulling these trigger using options. So that way, you are taking, how much risk that you're willing to take. And there is no change in the setup unless, it breaks 595. From the low of about 550 and change, it's come to about slightly over 660 and pulled back. The technical structure hasn't been violated and still remains intact. All you need to do is control your risk. You buy just out of the money call, at around 646, between 646 60 range. That way, there is a fixed risk, and that's the maximum you can lose. And if you are a little more conservative, and if you want to avoid this trade, wait for the market to take out today's high. Once it does that, it could even if it's going to reverse from where it is now, wait for it to take out the first hour high, and then you can go long at current levels. So that strategy still remains intact.
Right, the strategy does remain intact. Let's pull up a Cadila Healthcare as well. In fact, Friday's session, we had CLSA, which had gone ahead and downgraded the counter to a sell from a buy. In fact, they've cut the target price to a 250 from a 430, and this is on the back of the US FDA observations that Cadila received for their Moraiya plant that could delay, product approvals as well. In fact, Moraiya, as we know, contributes almost around 45 to 50% of US sales and 1/3 of its 100 plus ANDA filings, which are pending for approval. On the back of which, if you see Cadila, which is down almost around 3.5% in trade. With that, let's just quickly pull up Eicher Motors once again. Nilesh, Eicher Motors, a technical review at this level, what would your recommendation be now? The stock is down over 4% as we speak.
Well, Eicher Motor is looking completely weak on the chart. It has opened with a gap down and still trading at a lower level of the day. I think in the immediate level we are expecting is of 19,000, almost 500 more downside is expected in particular counter, whereas one can keep a stop loss of 20,000 and one can initiate a fresh long position, and it is again a sell on rise kind of a sort of a pattern it has made on the daily chart. So it is better to avoid trading this counter as for the time being and wait for some pullback rally for initiation of a fresh short position.
Okay, that's the word happening at present. While the markets, again, if you take a look, we are largely seeing a sideways move here after the opening. No major sort of moves here. Some follow-ups. OMCs again are back into positive. We are talking about BPCL now 1% up. We are also again looking at ONGC 1% up. Let's also bring HPCL, IOC. Let's see again. In fact, almost 0.2% up again. Right, is what actually we are looking at. Bring HPCL. That's again 0.7% up. IOC also. Let's bring that again. There's a recovery happening there. A word, Brijesh, what's the word on the oil marketing companies? No major sort of rise in the crude price. We have seen 0.5% decline in the crude price. Currency perhaps could be a mild negative factor, but what are charts telling you?
See, Piyush, I have been bullish on HPCL from a level of 225 or 227. I have been recommending in your channel. The higher lows formation on a daily chart indicate the target of 340, 350 around, but the time frame was somewhere around say a 4-month or a 6-month, and if I'm not mistaken, 320 was somewhere around the month of Jan or Feb. The stock has moved from that level. Now, if someone has missed that rally, then still overall the trend of the chart and HPCL has been bullish. 240, 245 is the first support, followed by 258. So at the present rate of 276, suppose someone wants to go for a long side, and I'll suggest if it trades somewhere around 270 around, one can take a buy call with a stop loss of 258 and play for the target of 290, 295. That would be the first resistance. If this thing is being crossed, then the next resistance on the higher side would be 320 around. So if someone wants for an investment point of view, dip should be used or present rate can be used with the stop loss of 258, play for the target of 320. If for a swing based trading is been concerned, then 276 should be avoided because the risk reward ratio is still not in your favor. So if it takes somewhere around 270, one can look out to buy this counter HPCL.
Okay, that's the word at present. Meanwhile, a couple of more stocks actually are now showing some interesting moves. Let's bring Oberoi Realty. While just a couple of minutes back we were talking about how again this space could be looking like. Bring PNB Housing also. Again, there is some interesting moves happening there. Dilip Bilcon, almost again 3 to 4% uptick again happening there. That's again sort of a 1-month charts coming for you. But again, those all charts, the last ones again actually are, these all stocks actually are showing some good interesting upticks today. Hexaware is up almost 2%. There is also a bit of positivity happening in a couple of insurance names. But let's take view on 2-3 stocks which are looking interesting at present. One is PNB Housing, second is Oberoi Realty, and again third again let's ask again how's Firstsource looking. Going back, Jay, what's the word on either of the stocks, PNB Housing, Oberoi Realty, or a word on Firstsource, if there is any stock if you like in among the 3 stocks?
PNB Housing has been deeply oversold. It's bouncing from sub 680 levels, and it's a sharp bounce back. The medium term charts as well as the short term charts aren't that attractive here. So it's just a short term bounce. Whereas when it comes to Oberoi, it looks like it's I've been positive on this for quite some time, for the last couple of months, or probably slightly more than that. And and I anticipated record highs for Oberoi as well as Godrej. They've done that and pulled back despite clocking fresh 52-week highs. They still have potential to cross those highs now. So for someone who's long in Oberoi Realty, they need to hold long with a stop below 500 and be conservative. I think it has potential to scale 620. But if the markets were to struggle just short of those levels, be willing to take profits even before the earlier highs and hold on only partially. So because you are wearing a trader's hat, be willing to take whatever the market gives. The structure is still bullish for Oberoi Realty.
Right, again that's the word on Oberoi Realty. On a closing basis, last word, Nilesh, any stock you want to add?
I want to add Hexaware in the buy list. It has provided a fresh breakout. In fact, if you look at in today's trading session, overall IT pack is outperforming. So overall IT, if you look at Tech Mahindra, be it Wipro, be it Hexaware especially, it has provided a fresh breakout in today's trading session. Look positive. One can keep a stop loss below 347. We can expect upside target of 360.
Right, that's the word on Hexaware. If you look at the markets, again, it's still looking almost a 5% jump in VIX. Again, that tells you that sort of risk still remains live. So if you're making any trade, again, be cognizant of the fact, again, swings are going to be part of the trade again for the next few sessions. And VIX is telling you over leveraged trades are not part of the game at present.
And over leveraged trades are not a part of the segment, and as we approach the general elections as well, clearly the overall volatility is expected to increase. In fact, everyone's is indicating a range between 30 to 40 is the kind of VIX range that we need to constantly keep eyeing till the 23rd of May as well. But thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Vineet, Jay, Nilesh, as well as Brajesh for joining us on the show with your trading comments as well as calls. We will quickly slip into a short break and get your conversation we had with the managements of SBI and Syndicate Bank on the fine print of their fourth quarter earnings, as well as we connect with Nishaben Shankala, a fundamental analyst at HDFC Securities, on their pick of the week. Please stay tuned.